Nice video.
Good morning. Streaming live from the John Patino studio inside of High Tech High School in Secaucus, New Jersey, it's The Wave on WHIT Podcasting. Call in and join the conversation at 201-589-0321. I'm your announcer, Emily, and now to your host, Julie.
Good morning. I'm your host, Julianne, and today here with me is Emily, Esteban, Jared, Elijah, and our special guest, Miss B and Tudor. Today we are going to be interviewing Miss B and Tudor. So, okay. Miss B, what made you want to, what is that word? Wow. Adopt, yes. Adopt Tudor.
So I didn't necessarily adopt Tudor. So I volunteer with the Seeing Eye. So I have been friends with blind graduates since I was a kid. I actually have a family friend, I know you're very excited, who has had a guide dog since I was little. But when I went to Rutgers, New Brunswick, they actually have a Seeing Eye club where you can work with these dogs and volunteer with them. So ever since college, I've been working with these dogs.
Careful.
Oh, no, go.
How many dogs have you worked with before?
He is actually my sixth. I know you're very excited. Oh my goodness, relax. Oof, there we go. He is my sixth dog. So my first one is out in Wisconsin. My second one is in Florida. My third one is probably home sleeping on my couch because he didn't make it through the program completely because he was afraid of thunder and lightning. Thank you. And my fourth one's in New York, and my fifth one is in New Jersey, and obviously my sixth one is sitting right here with you guys.
What made you want to pick volunteer with Tudor, like in particular?
I didn't get to pick Tudor. He came to me just as so the Seeing Eye gets to pick your puppy, and then they hand them to you on what's called like the van day or their gotcha day. But for school, I particularly wanted to bring him in so that you guys could experience what it's like to be around service dog. He's not a fully trained service dog yet, obviously, but being able to expose you guys to that and obviously having fun with puppies is fun when you're a stressed out senior. I know now you're stressed out too. So I figured it'd be cool for you guys to be able to experience it because I got to do it in college. So I figured I might as well give it to you even sooner.
That's great.
Right, Bob?
Do you get to train him yourself or do you have to put him through a course?
So I train him through the Seeing Eye like by myself. So every week, Tudor and I get to go to a meeting where they teach different like obedience things for him to do. I've been doing it for a while. So I know pretty much everything, but if it's your first time at the meeting or with a dog, pretty much each week they'll teach you a different thing. So they teach us how to walk them on the proper side, how to, take them around when we expose them, like when we're here at school, and then different obedience, like sit, down, stay, what our version of stay is rest, but pretty much basic obedience stuff, but we do it by ourselves. Ooh, thank you. Right?
What are the requirements for a dog to finish the program?
So for the dog to finish the program, they have to be able to go through their advanced training up at the Seeing Eye. So while they're at the Seeing Eye, they get to learn things like intelligent disobedience, where they learn if they're in a dangerous situation and if their person tries to get them to, like, let's say, walk forward, but there's a car, they have to know that they're allowed to not listen to their person and keep their person safe instead. They also learn object avoidance for them and for their person. So they have to be able to walk in the streets or, walk a daily route to make sure that they can keep their person safe, like keep them on the sidewalk, make sure they don't, hit into, a low hanging tree branch, things like that. And just being able to withstand going with someone everywhere 24/7, because not every dog is okay with that stress.
Yeah.
So if they go through that program okay, then they get matched with a person. They'll get matched based on like how fast they walk, if they can, keep up in situations like in a city or in a suburban area or, in a more quiet area. They will match that with the person and with the dog, and then they get to train together. Okay, buddy, relax. You're very excited.
Was there a process for you to get Tudor approved to come into the school?
There was. I had to talk to our administration, and I had to talk with Miss Young and Amy Lynn. or Miss Rodriguez. And they actually helped me quite a bit with getting it approved, like with the board and with our insurance and things like that. I have been trying to do this probably since my first year, and I've been here for 4 years. But we had like COVID and things like that. So when we came back this year and we came back fully, sorry guys, he's like, this tastes good. When we came back full time, I was able to speak to both of them, and they worked really hard to help me get him into school with you guys. Easy fun.
Is there like a final test for the dogs to to be officially service dogs?
Yeah, so they'll actually go through a couple different tests with their instructor, essentially. They go through what are called blindfold tests. So their instructor obviously is not blind, but they work in blindfold, and they'll work with the dog through the city of Morristown to be able to see if they can do particular things like stop for traffic and walk on the sidewalk and make sure that they're doing their proper obedience and paying attention so that they can pass their tests. But they have a couple different tests, but all those tests are done when they're back up at the seeing eye.
So it's multiple tests.
Mm-hmm.
No, go ahead.
What would happen like if let's say they don't pass the test?
So if they don't pass, like my third dog. So my third dog was up at the seeing eye for about a month and a half. And then, I know it's not your turn yet. He was up there for about a month and a half, and he didn't make it because he was afraid of thunder and lightning. So because he's afraid of thunder and lightning, if he's accidentally out with his person and gets scared, then he can't keep them both safe. So he wasn't able to finish the program. So since he wasn't able to finish the program, because I raised him, I got first dibs to take him back and adopt him. But if for some reason I couldn't adopt him, which sometimes happens, especially if you're in college, because we started in college. But if you're not able to adopt them back, there are some places that actually are dogs, because they're working dogs, they go to other places that need dogs. So we have a lot of dogs. I know a couple of dogs that went on to be like bomb sniffing dogs or drug detection dogs. I have a couple of like airport security dogs that I've seen. And then if that doesn't work, then they go through the Seeing Eyes adoption program. So the Seeing Eye has a really awesome program for people to be able to adopt the puppies that didn't make it through the program, and retired Seeing Eye dogs as well.
You said that the third dog wasn't able to make it through the program. How did you guys like figure out that he was scared of like thunder and lightning? Did he like, go to his person first, or was it when he was
didn't? So he was still at the Seeing Eye, and they had 2 really big storms. And while he was there, he like freaked out both times, and they had to drop him like for the precaution. He didn't get to try to go out to work with a person because they didn't want to potentially put that person in that situation. So he's home with me now.
Are all of your dogs the same breed as Tudor is, or are they all different?
They are not. So the Seeing Eye uses a couple different dogs, and they use all working dogs. So they have golden retrievers, labs, and then a mix between the two, which is Tudor. And then they use German Shepherds. So I've had pretty much every single one. My last one was a German Shepherd. He had lots and lots of energy. And then I've had some labs. The third one that failed, he's a golden retriever. And then I've had like black labs and stuff like that. So I've had a couple of different ones. The crosses are my favorite, but I think I'm a little biased because my very first one was also a cross. So I think we're a little biased. But I mean, look at this face. How could you not?
So
Right, bud?
the different dogs went on to do different things. What differentiates a dog from, like, because you said some were like bomb sniffing dogs. And stuff
Yeah,
like
so if the Seeing Eye can tell that they're not really cut out for guide work, but have the ability to potentially thrive in a different job, they'll actually work with other places. So they'll call like different police stations that are potentially looking for dogs for bomb sniffing and stuff like that. So they'll go through another type of training. So I had a friend, her lab didn't make it as a Seeing Eye, but they were able to get him in contact with a police station that needed a bomb sniffing dog. So he went through and did that program, and he graduated through that program instead. And now he's one of like the patrol bomb sniffing dogs, like on a college campus somewhere. So but they have to go through a whole nother set of training. But usually the instructors can kind of see it in their personality. Like if they have a lot of energy, or if they're very like particular about like sniffing, or like they're really big on scent, like they'll reach out to those places to try and utilize that for them.
If they don't pass the test, like the bomb sniffing dogs, they go back to the CNI and then they put them on
Mhm.
option. Okay.
Does Tudor have a lot of energy? Like, does
He does. So at school, usually homeroom, he's got a lot of energy. First and second, he kind of chills a little bit. And then third period, he's crazy again. Fourth and fifth, he falls asleep. So he's back and forth. But when he's at home, he is like a firecracker. I have the dog that failed, but I also have a Mastiff at home who he beats up every minute of the day that he's allowed to. And because he's small, she doesn't care. So she just kind of lets him do it. But usually in my house, as soon as his little scarf comes off and his collar comes off, he turns into like a nutcase and he's running around my house, pulling out all the toys, beating up my dog. So.
Quick question. How often does he train?
All the time. That's why he's with me 24/7. So he'll train with me pretty much every day. Like if we have to like sit in front of the elevator and wait, like I do his obedience and his exposure training while he's with me all day. So he's technically constantly training, except for when he's at home, obviously, and he's playing. Like once he gets his vest, he'll get like a little vest to wear, like a service dog vest, and then he'll start to learn the difference between when he can play and when he can work. But we're constantly working on his obedience now, especially because he's so little.
Yeah. How old is he?
He's about 3 months. He's a little older than 3 months. Where are you going?
Does Tudor happen to have a favorite teacher at the school?
Oh my goodness. His favorite teacher is Fuda. Him and Fuda hit it off the first day and they were best pals. And Fuda made sure he came to see him every single day. And now he sees Fuda in the hallway and he pulls me to Fuda's direction. But I mean, I feel like everybody loves Fuda. So he just, he's on the Fuda train. But he definitely, Fuda is his favorite. He can see him from like a mile away. And like when he does this, I'm like, oh, Fuda's there. And then you can see Fuda on the floor. He's like, Tudor. And you're like, all right, go get him. They have like the best little bromance ever.
Does he have a favorite student?
A favorite student? I don't know. He loves all of you. I know I'm getting waves back there. Like, he loves all of you. He gets sad when you guys leave. Like if you come to visit me or if like even in class, like everybody plays with him and then you all leave and he like sits on the floor and he's like all sad. He's like looking at the door like, when are they coming back? So I haven't seen a one favorite student, but he definitely loves being around you guys for sure. I think I'm boring for him at home, honestly.
With the amount of training that you've put him through so far, do you think he's gonna pass, or do you think?
So far, I've been pretty good about realizing it like the first like week that I've had dogs, but he's pretty good. He has learned things pretty quick. Like he got sit right away. He knows down, but he's really stubborn. So if I tell him to down and he doesn't want to, he like pretends like he's not listening to me. He does like a couple like things called like puppy push-ups, and he learned it really, really quick. Like even at our meetings, people are like, oh, wow, he's doing pretty good for his age. So he's really smart, which will eventually come back around and he'll use that for his stubbornness to not listen to me. But right now we're taking that opportunity to learn everything pretty well. But he's doing really well. I think he'll make it. It's good.
Are labs and German Shepherds like the most common breeds to be service dogs, right?
Yeah. So the lab, the golden, and the German Shepherd are all considered working dogs. So they have like a disposition with their breed to want to. Oh, your tail's getting stuck on me, guy. There we go. To want to work with people and please people. So like a lot of the times, the golden retrievers, the labs, and the shepherds are all really good with like service work or like working. But the seeing eye actually breeds their own dogs so that they can work with trying to like breed out particular diseases that the dogs might have and kind of keep the dog's like temperament pretty well known. But those are the dogs that most of the schools use. Yeah.
Is there any other dogs that you also use, or is it strictly just those three?
So the seeing eye only uses those three, but I know that there are other guide schools and other service schools that will use different dogs. Like I know that I believe the school is out in Ohio. It's called Pilot Dog. And they actually use rescues. So they'll use all different kinds of dogs. And I've also seen a couple of service dog training schools that will also use like different dogs of different breeds, like Rhodesians.
Pardon the interruption.
Like
Following students, if
Great
you come
Danes
to the
and
main
stuff.
office, Amal El.
Where are you going?
So do you guys train them with like, if they do something good, you give them a treat, or like how would training work for them?
So his training is specifically praise. So there are different types of training. You cannot get on that table, sir. My goodness. Is training with treats, like people do train their dogs with treats, but we use praise only because when he's out working with a person, they can't always have treats on them. So they get like the good boy, good job, like kind of, like I said, like praise as their reward, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I've had a couple of dogs that good boy, they like turn into like the like wiggliest thing because they think it's the greatest thing. But the seeing eye specifically uses praise so that one, they don't get fat from all the treats, but two, just in case, so that they're not only working for that treat. Where are you going? You're slipping off my lap. I'm sorry.
So, how long did you say that Tudor would be with you?
So they're usually with me for about a year. So he'll probably be with me until the beginning of September. And then he'll go back for his advanced training up at the Seeing Eye.
How long does the process of him finding his person usually take?
It really depends. So because the Seeing Eye works to make sure that you have that perfect match, like when it comes to the pace of the dog and the dog's ability to work in like the area that you live, sometimes it's within the first like 6 months, and I have seen it where it's been like 2 years because they try to make sure that that match is really really well set so that that dog can work with that person for a really long time. Like my first dog right now is coming up. His 10th birthday was just in August, and he's still with his person. So.
We actually have a quick question before we end the show. Is Miss B, what was your journey like to high tech? Like, how did you, I guess, kind of end up where you are now?
I ended up here because I actually went to school in this district as well. I went to county prep for high school. And then throughout high school, I convinced myself that I was going to be a vet. And I was going to school to be a vet. So I went to New Brunswick. I went through their pre-vet program. But then I noticed that they also had a master's program for teaching. So I started to do that and then actually went over to NJCU and finished my master's there. And when I came to high tech, the first time I actually came was as a student teacher. And I had so much fun here with you guys that I was like, maybe I'll stay here for a little while. And then I was lucky enough that there was also an opening for a bio teacher at the same time. So I figured, I was like, I'm just in the right place at the right time. And we decided to stay. What are you crying?
One last question before we end. You said that it takes like a while for like the dog to like meet with the person.
Mhm.
In that process, do they stay at the Seeing Eye? Or do they stay with you?
They do. So they stay at the Seeing Eye. Once he leaves me for his formal training, he'll be at the Seeing Eye for the rest of the time. But there is a huge staff of awesome people who work with them every single day. So they work with the kennel staff. They'll play like pretty much, they have 2 parts of their day. Like they'll play and then they work. So if they're not working, they're in the yard with all the other dogs and they play with them and the people that like manage those yards. And then if not, they're out on adventures with their instructors. So they're kept pretty busy.
Hold on. Another quick question. How did you like Rutgers, New Brunswick?
I loved it there. I lived on Cook campus where the farm was. And like I said, like I did all the pre-veterinarian stuff. So I was constantly with all the animals and it was honestly like one of my favorite places to be.
How are the people there?
They're fun.
Okay.
They're fun. Yeah.
Because I'm trying to apply there.
Are you
Come
seriously
talk to me
doing
later.
college
I'm
research
about
right
it.
now?
I was gonna say, come by my room. I'll help you out.
Okay. Well, thank you for watching and thanks to our panel. I'm Julian. This is The Wave on the WHAT Radio Podcasting. That's Emily.
Thank you again, Ms. P and Tudor.
Anytime.
And thanks for watching The Wave. Tune into WHAT's YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram pages for more info and shows, and have an amazing day.